Welcome to Mysteries of the Missing, a podcast and blog about missing persons cases. Keep in mind that I am only reporting the events of what have happened, per my research through various media outlets. I am not placing blame on any people of interest in terms of kidnapping this person or those who haven't been investigated. Also, I'm not trained in any way in true crime. Instead, I'm solely a human being that's trying to do my part to get the message of Anthonette's story out there so that one day, hopefully, she may be found and her case may be solved. Join me as I dive into the last day that people saw Anthonette Cayedito and what happened after she was last seen. You can find my podcast and my social media on my Linktree at linktr.ee/Mysteries of the Missing. That's linktr.ee/Mysteries of the Missing. Warning, today's episode will contain incidents of child grooming, neglect, and kidnapping, as well as drugs and alcohol use. Listener discretion advised. If you're interested in learning more about missing children's cases, you can check out the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at missingkids.org or the FBI's list at www.fbi.gov/wanted/kidnap. To learn more about a group called the Bioneers, No More Stolen Sisters, which is 4 women on a mission to stop the abuse and murder of Native women and girls, please Google Bioneers No More Stolen Sisters, or you can find the link on my Wix page. Today, we're going to talk about Anthonette Cayedito, missing from Gallup, New Mexico since April 6, 1986. While researching this episode, I spiraled down a dark hole of sadness because this case has to do with a child. Also, this is the second recording for me, and I'm heavy. I feel heavy. Now, I remember seeing Anthonette's case on Unsolved Mysteries, and her story played at the strings of my heart. Anthonette Christine Cayedito was born on December 25, 1976. Her mother, Penny, was Navajo, and her father, Anthony Montoya, was Italian and Hispanic. She had 2 younger sisters, Wendy and Sunita, and they were raised in Gallup, New Mexico, in an apartment just by Route 66 by their mother. Anthonette was described as being smart, hardworking, kind, caring, and dependable. By the time she was 6, she often took care of things at home like watching her sisters and cooking and ironing for the family. She had a big heart, often taking care of others and showing concern if they were sad or in need, and many referenced that she had a caregiver's heart. Her nickname was Squirrel, and she loved listening to Michael Jackson. At her local elementary school, Lincoln, Anthonette showed athleticism and even won the Presidential Fitness Award in 4th grade. She was a devoted student, and she was also devoted to her Bible studies and was devoutly religious. This kid was great all around. At the time of her disappearance, she had moles on her right cheek, nose, back, and one of her ankles, and had scars on one of her knees and on her lips. Her ears were pierced. The evening before Anthonette went missing, according to her mom, Penny, she went out to a local bar with friends. At the time, Penny said that she left Anthonette, Wendy, and Sunita with a babysitter. Later on, it would come out that most likely Anthonette was the babysitter at the age of 9. Also, Penny was known for drinking and using drugs. In fact, right before Anthonette disappeared, the family's house was raided for drugs. The children and their mother had to wait across the street while police tore their home apart, looking for the drugs. Wendy stated that she was afraid to come forward about this because she feared the people involved with drugs with Penny would retaliate. Also, she said that Penny was very abusive and would often have parties at the home while the kids were there. When that happened, Anthonette would take her sisters to her bedroom and shut the door. It was evident that Anthonette's home life was not safe for her and her sisters. In fact, a man, nicknamed Emo, aka Emilio Gardea, would often come around to give flowers and jewelry to Anthonette. One time, he came and brought the girl a necklace with a turquoise bear on it and put her in his lap. Wendy got a strange feeling and took her sister off Emo's lap and to their room. The evening before her disappearance, Emo brought Anthonette flowers, as he usually did. According to Wendy, Emo would never come to the house without Penny's friend, Ronald, until the night of Anthonette's disappearance. He came alone that night. I didn't find any information about CPS, aka Child Protective Services, coming to the Cayedito home, or any teacher or school official expressing concern at all. If they didn't, these people dropped the ball. Also, where was the father in all of this? He's never a part of the story, and I haven't read anything that states that he was a suspect. He was literally MIA. Now, Penny said she returned home to her 3 young daughters from her night of partying sometime around midnight. Usually, the girls would sleep in their mother's room, and that morning, Wendy and Sunita were told to go to sleep before Anthonette. Wendy says that Anthonette was allowed to stay up playing cards with her mother until 3 a.m., which was not typical. Penny says they stayed up, and then they both fell asleep. At the time, it was thought that there was only one knock on the door. However, it was not until 1984, 8 years later, that Penny would reveal that there were 2 knocks on the door, and that part will come later. The original story was that there was 1 knock and Anthonette went to get it. Wendy said she followed her sister but hesitated in the hallway because for some reason she was scared. When Anthonette got to the door, she said, "Who's there?" The answer came that it was Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe was a real person and was actually related to the girls. He was Penny's brother-in-law. Many family members speculate that Anthonette wouldn't have opened the door, especially at that time of night, if she didn't know the person. However, Uncle Joe was questioned as not a suspect. Penny had strictly told the children not to open the door to anyone when it was something she called lockdown time. Before they went to sleep every night, the family would go around the apartment and make sure the doors and windows were locked. If this was the case, why did Penny allow her 9-year-old daughter to open the door alone in the middle of the night? That will come later. Wendy said that when Anthonette opened the door, she saw 2 men grab her sister and put her in a brown van that drove away. She stood there for a moment, frozen in fear, then went back to sleep. She was afraid her mom would be so mad at her, so she didn't tell her, and she was also fearful of the people who might be involved. Guys, also she was a kid, so her memories may be jumbled. The door was apparently left ajar after Anthonette's kidnapping, which was not common in the home. Penny originally said she woke up at 3 a.m. and Anthonette was still sleeping beside her, fell asleep, and woke up at 7 a.m. and Anthonette was gone. There was a search party that morning looking for a missing dog on the morning of Anthonette's disappearance. Get this. At 6:30 a.m., the searchers who were looking for the dog said that Anthonette was with them. That's after she supposedly disappeared, but she never returned home. Shortly after Anthonette's kidnapping, several new developments started coming. On April 6, 1986, just 2 days after Anthonette's disappearance, a witness said she saw a Spanish-looking girl in a long pink dress with a blonde-haired woman on the side of the road in San Antonio, Texas. The next day, on April 9th, a woman called the Gallup police and said they should look in the Gallup cemetery. She hung up quickly after making that statement. On April 19, 1986, another witness said she saw a brown truck at the Thriftway gas station. I wasn't able to find the location per my research. Jump to June 30th, 1986. A witness saw Anthonette with 2 Hispanic men at a bus depot in El Paso, Texas. The girl had a pink dress and white shoes on. That's what Anthonette was wearing the night that she disappeared. She was wearing a pink night dress. She left her shoes behind. Now it's 2 months later, and Anthonette is still wearing her pink nightgown. If this is the truth, that's sad. Had it been washed? And was she okay? A year later, there was a call straight to the Gallup Police Department from a girl claiming to be Anthonette Cayedito. It wasn't made to 911, which you would expect from a 10-year-old girl, as Anthonette would be 10 in 1987. How did Anthonette know the number of the Gallup Police Department? Some say due to this fact that it was not her, but Penny positively identified her daughter's voice when later she heard a tape recording of the call played. She said she did not recognize the man's voice. I'm going to play this call now. There's a link on my Wix website, and I'll also post the link to my Facebook page, Mysteries of the Missing, so that you can listen to it later if you want to. Now, warning, this call may be disturbing to some.
I'm Anthonette Cayedito. Okay, we're back to Albuquerque. Hello? Anthonette, where are you? Anthonette.
So, was it Anthonette? Who was the man that had her? No other calls from Anthonette followed this one. None of her family heard her voice again after this. In 1991, a waitress in Carson City, Nevada, said that she served a disheveled couple and a young girl at her restaurant. According to the waitress, the girl matched Anthonette's appearance. The girl kept dropping her silverware on the ground, and when the waitress would pick it up and put it on the table, the girl would grab her wrist hard. If I was the waitress, I would immediately know something was wrong and go to my manager. The waitress said she never did anything about that, and when the group left, she went to clean up the table like it was just another day in the neighborhood. When the waitress lifted the plate the girl had been using, she said there was a note that read, "Help me, call police." If this was Anthonette, she could have been saved before she and the couple left if the waitress had only done something the moment the girl had been acting weirdly with her. Flash forward to 1994. The truth came out 8 years later in an interview that Penny had with the FBI. There had actually been 2 knocks. Not only that, there's more. Now, the first knock was from Roger, a man that Penny had argued with at the bar. He asked Penny to open the door, then went to the window and knocked there as well. When no one came to the door, he left. Shortly after, at around 3:30 to 4 o'clock a.m., there was a second knock. This second knock was the one that would cause Anthonette's disappearance. It wouldn't be until later that it would come out that Penny told Anthonette to go answer the door. This grown woman told her 9-year-old daughter to answer the door in the middle of the night by herself. Not only that, Penny said she laid in bed while her daughter answered the door. Then she got up to see where she was after 30 minutes when she didn't come back. Now she was concerned about her daughter and now she wanted to back out of the deal she had. What deal, you may ask? Well, Penny would reveal in 1994 in that interview to the FBI that she thought Anthonette was becoming a problem and she had wanted a better life for her. So she got with Emo on a plan to take Anthonette to a better place. Penny asked Emo where he would take her daughter, and he answered, "It's best if you don't know." Penny then asked the FBI, "If I told you Emo and I did this, would we both go to prison?" It came out that this woman literally sold her daughter. She didn't want a better life for her daughter. Detective Juan Reyes found out that she may have sold her for drugs. But Penny said she didn't remember to who. Now, this woman sold her daughter for drugs. She wanted to get high. Just thinking about that makes me sick. I wonder how Penny could have and keep kids without officials getting involved. The fact that Penny and Emo were not put in prison over this by the FBI or by the police through this interview puzzled me until I found this information. When the FBI report was turned over to the Gallup PD, they did not include the interview in which Penny basically confessed to them in 1994. So Detective Juan Reyes knew nothing of Penny's involvement. Otherwise, he said he would have arrested her. At the time of Anthonette's disappearance, though, 6 people were required to take a lie detector test, including Emo and Penny, as well as Penny's best friend Ronald.